So now that a divorce has been completed, if you finished your divorce case, or even if it's still going, things to keep in mind once it has been completed, there's these at least top five. Top five things you should be doing. There's probably a few more than that, but number one would be make sure you update your legal documents, as in make sure you update designations for health advocate, power of attorney, trusts, estates, estate plan, wills. Make sure all those things are updated. Now that you're divorced, you don't want your ex-spouse named as a trustee, or maybe ex-family named as something in your trust or will. So you want to make sure all that's been modified. If you don't have a trust, don't have a will, don't have an estate plan, you need to get one done. If you have one, you need to modify it. If you've never had one, now's the time to do it. You don't want to be relying on state laws and all the issues that go on if you die intestate, if you die without a trust or a will or anything. And then number two is adjust financial accounts and beneficiaries. Make sure joint accounts are closed, joint bank accounts, joint investment accounts, joint credit cards. Make sure that beneficiary designations have been updated so that you've changed your beneficiaries. You don't want your ex-spouse named as a beneficiary unless there's some very specific purpose for that. So there could be a situation where you keep your ex-spouse as a beneficiary. Like, let's say you have minor children and you're paying child support. You might then name your ex-spouse as a beneficiary on a life insurance policy, because there's still an insurable interest because you're paying child support. But normally you want to change all those things. Make sure you know what the beneficiary designations are, who's on your health insurance, life insurance, bank accounts, all those sorts of things. And then number three, real estate and property adjustments. You want to make sure homeowners insurance policies have been changed now that a divorce is final, that it's only you, it's not both people named on it. You want to make sure that the title to the house is in one person's name. If you're the one that kept the house, make sure it's not jointly titled anymore, or any other titles for that matter, even if it's not real estate. Any titles to vehicles, boats, RVs, anything else that might be titled, make sure that that's all been straightened out. And also, along with the loans on those things, make sure that the loans have been separated out, that you're aware of them, and that you know what's going on with all of that type of stuff. And then number four is taxes. Make sure your tax issues are cleared up now that you're divorced and that's final. You're going to want to be sure that you've got your withholdings correct. You may need to change your withholdings. Maybe you're not going to be claiming any children as an exemption anymore, for example. You're not going to file a joint return anymore, that's for sure. So you want to make sure that that's straight, so that your withholdings are right, so you don't have a big surprise come tax time that you owe more money than you should, or something like that happening. You want to make sure that that's straightened out, and that your new filing status is cleared up, whether you're single or head of household or however you're going to file. You want to make sure that your withholdings are going to reflect that, or if you're self-employed, make sure that you have that set up properly. That's number four. So number five would be to update personal accounts and other personal documents. Driver's license, social security. If you did a name change, you want to make sure that those things are updated. Emergency contacts at a school or medical emergency contacts, power of attorney like we mentioned before, or any place that somebody would need to be trying to reach you, have a secondary contact for you. You want to make sure those things are updated after a divorce is final. And then number six, just to add on a few more here beyond the top five, you want to make sure you set a budget going forward. If you have new obligations, like you're paying child support or spousal support or something, you want to make sure that that's reflected and that you know where that's at, that you have a budget, that you can pay your monthly expenses now that you only have one income. If you went from a dual income household down to one, you want to make sure you have a budget and you know where you are with things going forward, and that you can pay what you need to pay. Or you might have new obligations like child support or something. So you want to make sure that that's straightened out. And I think the last one I'd go with, number seven here, would be retirement plans. Make sure that you have figured all that out. If there's a provision in your divorce judgment that says that you get part of your ex-spouse's retirement accounts, a 401k, an IRA, a pension, so defined contribution plans, defined benefit plans, make sure that you're going to get what you have coming to you. And even if you're the one whose account is being divided, you need to make sure that that does get done. I can tell you a problem we see that happens is if you have a defined benefit plan, or what we call a pension, what people refer to as a pension. So if you have a pension and your ex-spouse is supposed to get part of this pension in the divorce, You can say, well, what if I never do the paperwork to actually make that happen? Is that a problem? Well, it is a problem, because what we find will happen to people is they go to retire and their pension plan won't pay them anything until the right paperwork has been done, the right court order has been done to deal with the fact that the ex-spouse got some portion of their pension. So really all of these ideas are basically driven by this concept. So there's this concept here with divorces that your divorce judgment is kind of the overview. It's the document, the guideline of what is agreed upon, and it's what you use to figure these things out. But the divorce judgment itself does not make all these things happen. You know, for example, if the divorce judgment says that you're keeping the Jeep Wrangler, the divorce judgment is not a title to a vehicle, so you have to go and make sure the title to the Jeep Wrangler has actually been taken care of, you know, for example, or anything else, houses. If divorce judgment says you get the house, you need to have the title reflect that. If it was in both names, you need to get a document signed and put the title into one name. Same with bank accounts. You need to go in and actually make all this happen. Same with retirement accounts. A retirement account, if I'm supposed to get half of my ex-spouse's 401k, the divorce judgment says that document alone won't make it so that I get that money. The retirement plan is not going to give me the money without a court order, or what's called a qualified domestic relations order, or a QDRO, or a domestic relations order, or EDRO. There's these different types of them, but basically there's paperwork that has to comply with ERISA, the federal laws on retirement accounts, and I'm not going to get my money if I don't have this separate document, or I'm not going to get the vehicle if I don't have the title. I won't get the house if I don't have so you want to make sure this is all cleared out and taken care of. There's a whole other step to a divorce once the divorce is final of making sure things are taken care of, or do them even before the divorce is final, or contemporaneous, do them at the same time. When it comes to dividing retirement accounts, ideally that's going to get done at the time of the divorce. Don't wait years later and now you got to track down the ex-spouse, make sure that they're on board with it, that they'll agree to sign something that says what they're supposed to do anyways, that you haven't lost track of them, that you maybe don't have their address anymore. You want to get all this kind of stuff cleared up. Same with estate plans. You want to get an estate plan modified right around the time that the divorce is final, so that you know everything is taken care of. You can just close the chapter of that book and say, okay, now I know I've got everything taken care of.